Have you ever gone into a game expecting it to be one thing and it turns out completely different? There's this new farming sim called Gaucho in the Grassland, and going into it, I thought it was going to be this cute little farming game where you're on a farm, taking care of animals, doing some light story stuff. Yeah, that's not exactly what it turned out to be. Hi, I'm Lochvaness, and I spent the past few days playing Gaucho in the Grassland, and let's just say I've got some thoughts. I'm here to help you decide if this game's gonna be worth your time or not. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss another cozy game review. Now, this game kicks off and you're a Gaucho, basically a Latin cowboy or cowgirl in my case, and you've got a dog, a horse, and 3 overgrown regions to restore that are covered in thorns. It is a cute game, but the gameplay loop is way more adventure heavy than I expected. This isn't your traditional farming game. There's no crops, no seasons. Instead, you're taking care of animals and gathering resources. You do build shelters and breed animals, which feeds into your resource management, but that's about it. It's less Stardew vibes and more quest-based adventure with animal mechanics sprinkled in. Now, this game is available on the PC for $20. The core of the game involves animal care, exploration, questing, resource gathering, and crafting, plus some town building and decoration. Now, you get to raise cows, chickens, and sheep and breed them, but it's not as hands-on as I hoped. You'll build them a shelter, bring them to the shelter, then they make babies, and that's basically it. The only interactions you have with them is gathering resources from them and luring them to the shelter. I was really hoping for a more hands-on system here where we can pet them, get resources, feed, and ensure that they're well taken care of, and instead it was more so animal wrangling. There are 3 distinct regions which all have their own setting and vibe. The changing biomes and weather effects were a really nice touch, and it can be relaxing to wander with your dog running beside you. But here's where it falls a little flat. The world is pretty big, but it's weirdly empty. There's not much hidden off the beaten path, and traveling quickly becomes really repetitive, especially if you're just riding back and forth delivering quest items. Pretty much everything you do is tied to helping NPCs by bringing them specific items, and while that could be satisfying in a cozy sort of way, it ends up feeling more like busy work. You're grabbing materials, crafting tools, unlocking new areas, talking to people, and rinse and repeat. Sometimes you can't even complete certain quests unless you've already done something else that unlocks the item or feature that you need, which can honestly get a little frustrating. There were times where I couldn't figure out how to craft certain things due to me not knowing where to get the item from. The nice thing though is you can accept a bunch of quests at once and just toggle between which one you want to focus on. I actually really liked that part of the UI. It's super easy to switch quests, and the minimap helps you find where to go by marking NPCs with a question mark or an exclamation point. Now, crafting plays a huge role in the game, and at first it feels promising. You'll gather wood, stone, clay, iron, and turn them into tools or materials for quests, but eventually the pacing gets kind of thrown off. You need a ton of materials to be able to progress, especially if you're trying to engage in the whole town building aspect of the game. It honestly just turns so grindy. Also, the crafting tools doesn't really feel very special. There's no skill tree and no real upgrades in the game. Like I mentioned, there is town building and decorating in this game, but it's not what you think. You unlock empty plots and build homes for townspeople by crafting bricks, nails, and furniture. You're gonna need so many materials, and there's not really a good way of keeping track of where to find specific things, so it turns into a lot of trial and error, or you're just retracing your steps constantly. That part really dragged on to the point where I didn't want to keep playing because I was getting really frustrated. It's really satisfying at first to build your first house and furnish it, but after that, it just wasn't worth it. When I built some houses, I couldn't even finish the quest for them because I didn't have the recipe for the furniture they were asking for. The art style is stylized, cartoonish 3D that has a fun and playful look to it. The sound design here was done really well with the ambiance noise, and the action sounds when you are walking and gathering resources were just really satisfying. Your character will also say things from time to time in Spanish, which was a really cute touch. Now, when it came to the story and the characters, it was okay. Like, the characters were cute, but none of them really stuck with me. And with the story, I was kind of hoping with the whole Latin folklore theme that we get some really unique or in-depth storylines, but it kind of felt just surface level. Now, despite that, I did enjoy going through the story aspect of the game, and it kind of gave me a little bit of a purpose. Now, the story has these thorn mazes that you have to go through, linked to other worlds. Then you go inside, do a little puzzle to rescue someone who runs that region, and I'll admit, those puzzle bits were cute and kind of fun, really broke up the repetitive stuff a bit. You can finish the main story in about 4.5 hours, but if you're into grinding out resources and finishing every little side task, there's definitely more that you can do. One thing I will say is you can unlock cosmetics and more stuff to decorate your land and dress up your dog, which is a nice touch. Now, as for replayability, I don't see much here. The grindiness to the game just makes me not want to go back at all. It's definitely a one and done deal for me. Now, in terms of accessibility in the UI, there is a constant pop-up that gets a little annoying, which it tells you that you can run or that you can press this button to call your dog or your horse, and that just became so bothersome after a while. But one thing I will admit this game did really well was the UI. I really liked how everything was displayed. You had all of the information you needed right there. Your active quests in the top left and the map in the bottom right. Now, about the performance. On the PC, it's mostly fine with some frame drops here and there in certain areas, but on the Steam Deck, it is a no. I could barely get this game to run past 18 FPS. It looked awful, and I messed around with every Proton option I possibly could think of, and I still couldn't get it to run smoothly. The controls also fell off with the controller. Like, sometimes the menu was hard to navigate, and half the time it wouldn't even show my toolbar. So yeah, if you're gonna play this, I would definitely stick to PC for this one for now. Then there were also a few bugs like floating animals, characters just standing in the water with no way to reach them, your animals going behind bushes and you getting stuck there, and the whole dog searching command thing was just not working sometimes, and mounting the horse, you had to be oddly specific, like you had to be right next to it, not in front of it, or it just won't work. Now, overall, it's a cute little game with a fun art style and some unique ideas, but it didn't quite deliver what I was hoping for. I will have to give it a 2 out of 5 for what it is, an adventure-focused game with light animal mechanics. It might land better for others, but if you're coming in expecting a cozy farming sim like I was, yeah, you're gonna be a little bummed out. The fetch quests get old, the performance issues, especially on the Steam Deck, are rough, and it's just not something I see myself going back to. If it gets some updates or a patch, especially for the bugs and the deck compatibility, I might pick it back up, but for now, I'd say wishlist it and maybe grab it on a sale if it ever catches your eye. Now, let me know in the comments what are your thoughts and if you see yourself playing this game. I hope that you found this video helpful and gave you some insight on whether Gaucho and the Grassland was for you or not. If it did help, be sure to like and subscribe for more cozy game reviews, and until next time, so happy gaming!